Welcome to the first episode of the Insurance Untangled Podcast. I am Naren Arulraja and one of the co-hosts of this podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping practices that are tangled up with insurance. We know that 90% of practices, dental practices in the United States, take some form of insurance. So this is for you. We talk about topics that help you take more control and create a bigger and better future for you, your patients, and of course, your team members. Today, my guests are my fellow co-founders, Ben Tuney,
Whoop, whoop.
Jordan Comstack,
Yeah.
and we have a fourth co-founder who's not here with us today. That is Gary Takas. As many of you know, Gary is considered the pioneer when it comes to helping practices reduce their dependence on dental insurance. This is our welcome episode, and today we're going to be talking about what is Insurance Untangled and what are we trying to do.
Sweet.
So
I love
guys,
it, man.
welcome.
Yeah. Welcome.
Hey guys.
We're pumped to be doing this.
Yeah, super excited about this and super excited about the feature and the lineup of guests that we'll have on this podcast.
Absolutely. So we have a bunch of things we want to go through in today's episode. Let's start with the most important question that our listeners want to know. What is Insurance Untangled and who is it for?
That's
want
a
me
great question.
Go ahead. Ben's got a really nice voice. Go.
Well, it's hard to escape insurance, right?
Yeah.
90+% of doctors out there live with insurance on a daily basis, and even those that are out of network, they're still dealing with insurance, right? There are all kinds of complexities as it pertains to practicing dentistry when it comes to insurance. So if you are participating with insurance, if you're not participating with insurance, if you have struggles with insurance, this is for you, really. And arguably, I would say that this podcast is for everybody in the dental practice, from the doctors to the hygienists to the front office assistants, the office managers, insurance coordinators, because we all at some level have to have conversations with patients surrounding insurance or even dealing with insurance directly. So arguably, this is really for the entire industry of those that deal with insurance on a day in and day out basis.
Yeah. And if you're a practice owner looking to try and optimize your revenue, insurance is a big killer of your profit margins, right? So it's a great podcast to be able to understand strategies from experts that help with optimizing revenue for practice owners, right? I think this is going to be a really cool podcast for all of us involved, but all of our listeners.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you both did a great job defining what we are trying to do and who this platform, insuranceuntangleded.com, and of course the podcast is for. Let's talk about the founders, Gary Takas, Ben Tuney, Jordan Comstack, and myself. My name is Naren Arulraja. So I want our audience to meet the founders. Ben, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about your journey, specifically, in dentistry, in helping practices with all kinds of insurance challenges. And of course, why are you passionate about this project, insuranceuntangleded.com?
Absolutely. Thank you, Naren. So I'm Ben. I've been in dentistry since 2007. In fact, my very first job in dentistry, it was a total accident. I was being recruited by a friend of mine who was a headhunter for DSO in Arizona. And they were looking for somebody that could help navigate the complexities of dealing with dental insurance. And I had no experience in that world. The primary reason why they hired me was to negotiate fees. And my buddy Danny, who was recruiting me, said, "Hey, you deal with negotiations on a daily basis with your current job. You kind of fit the mold of what we're looking for." And so I heard them out and I decided, well, this seems like a pretty interesting job. Nobody's in their group is doing it. The pay is pretty good. So I took the job and I quickly realized my first day, on the phone with insurance, how complex insurance was and how inefficient dental practices are in dealing with insurance.
Sure, yeah.
There's so many things, like a typical insurance coordinator, right? Well, that's not the only title. The other title that person has is office manager. The other title is revenue cycle manager, So you have that one person that's wearing like 5 different hats, right? And so naturally they become very distracted when it comes to problems and issues and focusing on new things like negotiating with insurance. So, within 2 years of starting in dentistry, I decided, we're going to make a business out of this, see how far I can go, And so that's kind of been a fun journey in the sense that when I started the business, there were no other companies in this space that provided the service. And then since that time, 8,500 practices, 4 billion in revenue, in terms of what's being negotiated, and that's still rolling in. So that's my history, is that in dealing in the world of insurance on the side of dental practices, have a unique view and experience as it pertains to the problems that I know doctors and their teams are facing on a day-to-day basis. So hopefully we'll find some solutions and pass them on to you.
Absolutely. Ben, I've known you for quite a few years, and you are a wealth of knowledge. And you know a lot about, how to, work with this friend monster, whatever you want to call it, called this big, hairy insurance company. And so I think you're going to contribute a lot. And also, a lot about challenges that practices face. Jordan, you are also a dear friend. We have collaborated again for quite a bit of time. You and I, have participated in the Reducing Insurance Summit. We have done so many things together. And the other thing we both have in common is, you are an entrepreneur. You are a scrappy entrepreneur who created something from nothing. And I have a ton of respect for people who do that. So Jordan, I'm so glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know people know you. You are like world famous, but let's assume.
No, I'm just a dude that likes to hang out on podcasts and talk business and help dentists. That's really it. No, I've been in the dental industry for some time. I grew up in the dental space. My dad and grandpa own a dental lab, and my mom's an office manager. So grew up just in dentistry. I remember my dad always bringing home his work, meaning denture cases, and working in the garage on some of the cases because they were so busy. So grew up in dentistry, realized I went, as I became an adult, I ran my dad's dental lab, and I did that for about eight-ish years. And I realized that a lot of practice, much like Ben, they struggle with insurance. A lot of our practice clients would call us up and vent to us about the struggles. And I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to help these practices. It just doesn't seem like, this is it. And so I read a book called The Automatic Customer, which talks about how to create predictable recurring revenue in any business. And it inspired me to create my company called Boom Cloud, which helps practices create and grow dental membership programs as an alternative to insurance. So that's kind of what led me to get into at least the dental membership space and with our software program. But why I'm passionate about this project that we're doing is because I see too many dentists struggle with insurance. I think 99% of practices that call my company, they're trying to reduce dependence on PPOs or optimize it. And Ben and I have known each other for some time. We run a podcast called the Navigating Dental Insurance Podcast, and Ben and I have collaborated for years because we've referred a lot of our customers over to his solution in the industry, because what we're doing is we're really trying to help optimize practices so that they run a better run a better business. That's really what makes me passionate about what we're doing here together with us, all 4 of us on this podcast. I just think the mission of this podcast is really cool, and helping other business owners is what I've always been motivated to do in my career. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Jordan. Jordan, why don't you maybe reverse the roles and be the host for a bit?
I'll be the host. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Gary. He's out having fun, I'm guessing.
Oh, he's earned it.
He's
Yeah.
earned it. Yeah, Gary's nickname is the Pod Father, right? In the podcast world, at least that's what I've always heard of him as. But Gary's also Gary Takis is part of this group. I've always admired Gary. He's in fact, Gary's original podcast is one that really helped my company get off the ground. He's interviewed me a bunch on that show, and then he consults a lot with practices and helps them better their business too. So he's got a very similar mission as all of us here on this show. But Gary, I know, Naren, you work a lot with Gary as well.
Yes.
What has he said that he's really interested in with this type of podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. As many of you know, Gary is considered the foremost expert when it comes to dropping PPO plans. Like, how do you, because it's very risky for a lot of practice owners, or they are very afraid of doing it. So how do you go through step by step in dropping PPO plans? So he and I co-host a podcast called Less Insurance Dependence. And that's a weekly podcast. We have done 200 episodes. And these are like really quick 15-minute podcasts, specifically for those practices who have made the commitment. Yes, I'm going to drop insurance. Now, how do I go about doing it? So he's an expert. He has done this for the last 10 plus years. He has helped 400 plus practices. And he also realizes, that majority of the practices still are tangled up with insurance. So we can sit and talk about that small group of people who have made the commitment to drop insurance, or we can also help those who are still tangled up with insurance. Like, how do you at least, reduce that stranglehold that insurance has on you? How do you, hopefully, still overcome some of the challenges you have day to day as a, PPO practice? So that's a huge topic, and he really is passionate about helping the entire dental population. So I talked to him, and we had a chat, and he definitely wants to, work with us on this. Unfortunately, like you said, he's having fun, so he couldn't join us today. He's traveling. So,
that's awesome. Good for Gary. We miss you, Gary.
We love you, Gary.
Naren, let's talk about you, man. I've been collaborating with you. I know Ben's been collaborating with you over the past few years. What's got you interested in this podcast? And tell also a little bit about your story and how you got into dentistry, with your business.
Yeah, I'm kind of one of those people who's an accidental entrepreneur. I got fired, or unwilling entrepreneur. I got fired 4 times in a row. And then I'm like, after the
rebel.
4th time,
Naren the rebel.
No, actually, I was kicked out. I was told, you are not good enough. You suck.
That's funny.
And, after the 4th time, I told my wife, if I get another job, I'll get a job like this. I'm very good at getting jobs, but then I'll piss somebody off and they'll be like, see you, bye-bye. Because I just speak my mind. For me, like, job is not a job. It's something that I give everything to. So I don't care whether you are the CEO. Anyway, so that's a long story. So back in 2001, 2002, I get fired for the 4th time. And my daughter was just born, and she was like 2 or 3 months old. And I'm like, I can't do this. So first 5 years I struggled. I was trying to run a website, and then it didn't go anywhere. Like, hand to mouth, my wife was working. I was just a bum in the basement trying to make it figure out how to be an entrepreneur. So my background is computer science and product management. So I was a director of product management, the last job that I got fired from in the tech business, in the software field. Anyway, so after 5 years, at the end of it, I was trying to convince a dentist to advertise on a website I was running. And he's like, why don't you do my SEO? You're super good at it. He was in Chicago. There are 10,000 plus dentists in Chicago. So it's really hard to like dominate, meaning beyond the top 10 results in a city like Chicago. And he's like, if you can beat Amazon and, rank against them for a lot of keywords that they're going after, then you can definitely, help beat the 10,000 dentists in my town. And that's how the whole thing started. And, that was back in 2007. I've been working with dentists ever since. We have around 250 team members, in addition to running Equa Marketing, which is the digital marketing agency. I love creative ideas. I'm like an entrepreneur, like, both of you guys. And so I like to do new and interesting things. That's me. And the metric I'm most proud of is 95% of our clients, our digital marketing clients, stay with us. Now, you asked me a question, Ben, like, I'm sorry, Jordan, why am I excited about this project? I feel like there's this famous quote that I love. It's like, change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And as an entrepreneur, I found a lot of times my struggles are not that I'm not working hard enough. It's not that I'm not smart enough. It's just that the way I'm looking at things is wrong. So if I switch the way I'm looking at things, everything changes very fast. And I think the fundamental challenge that every dental practice that's beholden to PPO plans has is they're giving up half of what they make, 45, 50%. So when you give up half of the dollars of dentistry you produce, it's really hard to make do with the other half. I mean, you can work super hard, you can pinch a penny here, pinch a penny there, but it's almost impossible because that fundamental issue of giving up half of what you make, it's more than the taxes. Taxes are a lot less than half of what you make. So it gets really tricky. So
gosh, Dennis, you got to deal with taxes and insurance. That sounds like chaos.
Exactly. So, I felt like, we can maybe help a few people kind of see the world differently. We can help a few people even navigate the world they are in, hopefully better. And another quote I like is the best defense is the best offense. A lot of people who are beholden to insurance are beholden because they have no other way to get new patients. So they keep giving the insurance plan half of what they make in year 1 and then year 20 and year 30. So they never let go of that really bad monster that's, bedfellow with them, that's in with them, just but sucking everything away from them.
Mhm.
So I think it's a fun topic and we all are passionate about it. So, what's not to like about having fun, helping people, working with people you love. So
yeah,
absolutely. Well, Naren, thank you for sharing that. I guess it's my turn, right, guys?
baby.
To at least hold the, what do they call it? In The Mandalorian, they have this like metal thing that you hold when you speak.
yes,
Which is an indication that you have the power,
You've
So,
got the power now, Ben.
my turn to have a little bit of power. Try not to let it go to my head for the next 2 minutes. But anyways, guys, thanks for those intros. I really appreciate it. I mean, naturally, I feel honored to be a part of this group here and enter this journey to help practices, with the complexities of insurance-related issues. But let's take a minute here, guys, to talk about what we have planned. And I want everybody to know that, Naren is sort of this whole architect of things, right? So he puts together, the vision and the organization and structure, and he's really good at that. So we started planning out, the next several months in terms of episodes. But guys, why don't we talk about a little bit about what guests and listeners can expect with the program this year?
Go ahead, Naren.
Absolutely. So we're going to have 2 types of podcasts. One is, thank you, Ben, by the way, for your kind words. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm kind of one of those behind the scenes people. I think I'm the kind of person you kind of put me in a room and lock the keys and throw the keys away. I'm good at, like
you sound like my brother.
You sound like
that's how he is. Yeah.
You kind of sound like you'd be a good prisoner. I'm just kidding, there.
I didn't think
You'd be
of
a
that.
very
That's
productive
a good
one.
point.
You'd probably be the richest prisoner in the whole world,
The richest
history of the world, if
prisoner,
you ever got arrested. But we know that's never going to happen. Naren's a great guy.
So so what we have in mind with regards to the podcast is there's going to be 2 types of podcasts. One is featuring one of the co-founders. So, Ben is an expert in negotiating fees, working with insurance companies. Jordan kind of knows how to create an alternative to insurance, right? Even though insurance is not that great, people live with it because those patients who have insurance keep coming back, right? Because they feel like they have this benefit and they'll come back to the office to use those benefits. So Jordan has membership plans, which is kind of an alternative. So you don't need to have insurance plan to go to the dentist. You can be on a membership plan where you get the cleanings and, all the fundamental things that every single person needs with dentistry, for a flat annual or a monthly fee. So he has tons of experience. Plus, Jordan has tons of knowledge on all kinds of things, scrappy and entrepreneurial and so forth. And then Gary has been helping practices literally navigate this mess that's called insurance. And many, many hundreds of practices have literally dropped their dependence on insurance 100% with Gary's help, or some have dropped 95%, depending on how far they want to go. So I felt like one set of episodes we could do is, these kind of conversations with very interesting people who have very interesting perspectives on how to navigate or untangle the world of insurance. And the second one is with the experts. So we would bring in experts. So that'll be like on a different day of the week. And you can listen to people who talk about things that the four of us don't talk about. So it could be clinical. It could be how to answer the phone. I know Ben and Jordan, you guys know a ton of experts we want to bring in. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to obviously focus on our strengths, as fellow entrepreneurs in the dental space. But yeah, we know a lot of people in the industry that we'd like to bring on to the podcast to share their experience, right? Everyone from people that you may already know that have built practices. I have plans to bring on some of my customers that have built successful practices with membership plans and turned into multi-location practices. I think that's a really fun topic to talk about, how a dentist can scale or expand their practice by purchasing and acquiring other practices and expanding revenue through a membership plan. So that's what I know I've got some people in my back pocket that I want to bring on the show to share their experience in the industry. I think it's really cool.
Absolutely. And then we're going to be doing very short episodes, to invite office managers and insurance coordinators, those in the industry that are sort of in the trenches, to come and share, a tip about what solutions they found helpful. Like, for instance, there's this thing called Availity, and it's a portal that governs the Regents Blue Cross Network and some other Blue Cross networks. But it is probably the worst system in terms of the amount of complaints that you hear from dental practices across the country. And everybody's like, I don't know how to use Availity, but I have no choice because that's the only way we can get paid from this PPO plan. So things like that we're going to bring on in terms of how to deal with programs like Availity, tips on appealing denied claims, situations where you have buildups that are not paid for, or they're bundled with crowns. How do you unbundle those legally, right? So those are going to be fun topics that will include very specific insurance solutions that we're going to have people within the industry come and share their tips on the webinars. And then finally, of course, we'll have, the plan is to have events, webinars, masterminds, annual virtual summits that we'll host in the springtime around March or April, right? So, our hope is that we provide a service to the industry. Of course, I don't believe people are paying to subscribe to this, right? So subscriptions are free. And if you don't like the content, we'll give you a free refund.
Yeah.
But I'm just, all jokes aside, share this with your friends, your family members that are in dentistry, because our mission and goal is to build an institution where you're getting the education, the support, or at least the information that you need to solve some of the complex issues surrounding dental insurance and beyond, right? So again, spread the word, share our website, share our episodes. If you like them, don't forget to hit like. That helps with what is it? The secret algorithms in terms of rankings and all that.
Yeah, secret algorithms. Yeah.
Yeah. and then finally, if we say something that upsets insurance, that's we're on the side of dental practices. Our goal is to not necessarily smear any institution or organization, or instead we're here to provide solutions for people that we serve, which are people on the clinical side of the dental industry, that is. Anything else, gentlemen, that I missed, or that any of us missed?
Yeah, I'm excited about webinars. So webinars are going to be like, we'll bring in an expert, or maybe Jordan or Ben. You guys have so much knowledge, or myself or Gary. We'll talk about a specific topic that people want to hear about. So we'll send out an invite to everyone who's part of our community, and they can sign up, and we'll share information, and we'll probably give CE as well. So that's going to be something we'll be doing more of, at least once a month. And Jordan, what do you think about like a summit? I know the three of us and Gary brainstormed like having a summit perhaps in like springtime, maybe next March or so.
Yeah, I mean, I love live summits. Ben and I have done some in the past, but yeah, definitely, I think that should be in our plans as we move forward with this Insurance Untangled group. Summits, I think are super fun to meet people that listen to the show and super valuable for CE and just education in general. Right. So, we'll be focusing on some of that, which I'm always pumped for. So as we move forward with building this group, look for future events, live events.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think, at least for now, we are thinking of doing a virtual summit. So it'll be like 4 hours of CE during the day, and amazing speakers. So you get like jam-packed information on how to navigate the world of insurance and how to make the most out of it.
Sweet. So that's what we got prepared for everybody here. So if there's any, I don't know if we've missed anything, fellas. I probably have, but if not, we want to thank you guys for joining our show today, and make sure you subscribe, leave a good review on wherever you're listening to this podcast, and be sure to check out our website, insuranceuntangled.com. And if you're interested in looking at all of our businesses, go to veritasdentalresources.com. That's Ben's company. Naren's is Equa Marketing, EKWA.com. Correct, Naren?
Correct.
And boomcloudapps.com is my business's website. So go check those out as well, as you're kind of getting used to our voices and checking out our businesses. So
and Gary's is at thrivingdentist.com.
Gary's, thrivingdentist.com.
Yes.
And Gary's is thrivingdentist.com. So go check those out. And we look forward to chatting and hanging out with you guys in the next episode.